Hello, everybody. I want to take a moment to talk about identity because this was coming through and it was very prevalent in my own awareness for quite a few days as a result of the big push through of dismantling that's been occurring and arrival of another level of source consciousness within us is that as we begin to open our heart more and live the true heart-centered experience, we allow ourselves an opportunity to give death to the identity, right? The ego, the mind. We begin to lose a sense of self as we become more source consciousness, as we embody more source light. And that's because in the unified expression of source, we're more than just a fractal, and we expand beyond that into the connection point of the unified field or the unified intelligence of what many would refer to as, we can work all the way up the ladder, the soul aspects, the different soul aspects, the oversoul, the monad, the higher self, the all. And as a result, we begin to lose the identity of the human form. So it leaves a lot of us questioning, who am I? 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 And in this rediscovery of all that we are, we can feel the loss and the mourning of that process, right? Death, rebirth, transformation, cellular renewal, complete dissolution of the old. And with the acceleration of the energies and the amount of light that is held here on planet Earth at this time, there's not much for the human to hold on to, right? So as we are reaching out to hold on to something for stability, what's being asked of us is actually to go within and to hold ourselves, right? To hold ourselves in that comfort point, in that softness of the renewal and of the death and the rebirth, right? It's been feeling like for me too, there's been no stable foundation to balance on energetically, but it's because more foundations of the old are getting dissolved as we begin to build the new foundations for our truth, our light, our heart, our warmth, our love, and begin to rebuild that reality, right? So through that dismantling of the old, whatever it is, our own personal matrix, right? Through that dismantling, we can begin to really lose who we are because we're actually walking forward into what we truly are as source consciousness, or even as avatar consciousness, oversoul consciousness, higher self consciousness, however we want to frame it based upon where you're at on your journey. I've definitely hit that identity crisis recently. Who am I? How do I show up? What do I do? All the question marks that come with a rebirth and a renewal. And while there have been many phases of this in my own life, right, of death and rebirth and honoring the phoenix rising through the ashes, these aren't as difficult or as catalyzing or as collapsing, right? Yet the feeling is still the same. Is the restructuring, what is tomorrow going to look like? What am I going to do? All those things that take us out of the present moment. Trying to future focus and plan and be somewhere else other than right here through the process. And I find that with that, getting myself out of the present moment just creates more anxiety, more unsurety. The waters get a little bit more muddy, and it seems that the only clarity that can happen is, where am I right now? The only clarity comes from this present moment of just being. And as a result of this identity crisis is beginning to access the simple realms. Okay? So what are the simple realms? It's just that. It's just pure simplicity. Even when it comes to creation point, interaction. It's just keeping things very simple and organic and opening up to that flow. It really, I will say, threw me off for someone who's been, kind of pedal to the metal with creations, to put just a cold hard stop to everything, to rediscover simplicity, right? And as a result, it's been, how can I create free of thought? How can I create free of mental structure? How can I create through being and allowing? And that comes, of course, with its own level of difficulty, which is really interesting, right? Simple realms, yet there's difficulty that comes with it, because especially when we are so mental focused or communication focused in our creations, how to communicate through simplicity and just being when you're not called to communicate. It's definitely a new way of being able to show up, right? New way to show up. There's this artistic call that's been coming forward for many of us, and we're feeling it. Everyone I talk to, whether it's because it's in my reality, because I'm calling it forward, but I'm also seeing it with many, is how can we bring forward our artistic creations to uplift and inspire and to touch those lives of the people that need it, right? Whether it be through music, art, dance, sculpting. Everyone's finding another layer of their artistic expression that is the soul coming forward and through. And so if you're feeling that at all, like there's some way that you need to express yourself free of word. Some people might be word, especially if it's poetry or writing. But if you feel that artistic call or that artistic expression, it's really necessary towards embodying and harnessing the New Earth qualities and the New Earth experience and the New Earth frequency that we've been calling forward as a collective. That expression is necessary for us to color in this beautiful world that we live in, right? So if you think that we're all right now being handed our paint sets, and it's up to us to color into the lines, how we choose to bring that expression forward and through, that colorful dynamic is what is going to assist in brightening up the world that we live in right now. I've even found through this that for me, I'm feeling the collective more, and I'm witnessing more things being kicked up to the surface, which is okay, right? It's beautiful. It's beautiful. But this equinox and post-equinox energies and all the new sun coming forward and through and bringing the suns alive here on Earth, bringing them back online, has been very trying on the human, and it really does require another level of self-care and self-love. And I've found even too that it's coming forward with having to reshape our self-love, right? Having to take it to another level, taking our self-care to another level, recognizing that all those tools exist within us, right? And it's really silly because actually, due to human conditioning, I've found that many of us put off doing the one thing we need to do for self-love. There's this beautiful rediscovery process right now of reflection and review, right? Going back through our lives and going, what can I do that I used to do from a higher state of consciousness? And I'm finding many are doing that. We're going back in time into this lifetime or other lifetimes, and we're bringing forward and through an aspect of us that needs to be here right now, for the soul purpose, for the soul expression, and for creation point awareness. And sometimes this creation point, so to speak of creator consciousness regarding this, sometimes our creation point doesn't show up linearly, right? Sometimes our creation point can't be seen, but it can be felt in the subtle and in the quantum. So in the field, it's having an effect, but it might not be seen, right, on a social media platform or on a website. People won't be able to necessarily comment on it, but it can be felt in the quantum realms as we're all, doing this level of work of changing the dynamics and of shifting our own realities through self-love. And this is another important one, being seen right now. As we lose the identity more and more, I'm noticing that people are now reaching out to be seen more by others, which is okay, right? But a big thing that I've learned through this is that I have to see myself entirely for who I am, free of the identity, right? Well, even sometimes we need to see the identity, right? It's a part of shaping the matter into who we are. So whether it's seeing the identity, seeing yourself as source, seeing yourself as God, or seeing yourself as those ugly things that you don't want to look at, right? There's an aspect of witnessing, seeing ourselves today for who we are, and accepting and loving all of that for what it is here and now. It's apparent, though, that many of us want to be seen because we haven't been seen before, right? But there's also a healthy way to do that, and a respectful way of being able to do that, of showing up in our light, showing up as the soul, and expressing that in however it wants to be expressed in this now moment, to be seen. But there's also the human identity attachment, wanting to be seen, wanting validation, wanting upliftment, wanting encouragement, which is normal, right? We're here on this earth plane to seek connection and to walk forward through an experience, through connection, through relation with others, through relation with the animals, with relation to the universe, to earth. It's completely normal, and we have to dissolve the judgment of that. But there's also this aspect where can we see and witness all of ourselves by respecting who we are, right? By respecting the body, respecting the form, and respecting others. And how can we embody more of that self-respect, right? Healthy boundaries, saying no, looking at our intention for doing things. This has been a big one too lately. What is our intention? So we can stop calling forward the universal 2x4 to smack us up over the head and go, see. It's been a big one for me. And that's okay. It really is a part of the seeking energy, right? It's a part of that wanting to go outside of you to find something that exists within you. Which is okay, it's normal. I catch myself doing it quite often, right? And it's a part of the loneliness of this experience, but also the call for unification. We've gone through a great time of isolation for a very long time, and of course, we are excited to get up and out and to connect and to meet and to tribe up, which some of us are at micro levels, some are at macro levels, right? It's really where you're called to be and what you're called to do. But I've found that that seeking energy actually pulls me out of my own experience and pulls me out of being with myself entirely and seeing all of myself entirely. And it keeps calling me forward into these experiences that just don't fill me up like Source can, right? Not to say that the connection point with others doesn't fulfill at some level, but there's this really deep calling of this connection point and of deep knowing and this deep activation that I find for me only comes through that connection point of the wells of the divine and filling up with the water of the divine, right? And then when I'm filled up there, just because of where I'm at on my pathway, then when I go connect with others, it's more of a fulfilling experience. But if I'm trying to connect from a spot of lack, I receive more lack. If I connect from a place of feeling full and whole within myself, I receive that back. And so a lot of that remembrance of where I'm at in that process of connection assists me in knowing what I'm going to receive from that, because that's the energy I'm putting out. That's the energy I'm going to call back to see, to witness within myself, so I can begin to repair and fill back up with that, right? I know we're all ready for the next level for ourselves. But I also know that there is a process of dissolution that needs to occur. and a reformation that needs to occur before that can occur for many of us. Some are there, some are leaping very quickly. Some are in a little bit more of a holding pattern. And why do we get caught in holding patterns? Well, either we got more dissolution to go through, or we're not seeing something that is keeping us stuck or keeping us small. And it's up to us to go in and to see that, to witness that, so we can evolve and we can bloom and we can blossom. But even looking at the blossoming of a flower, right? How do we help a flower to blossom? We just water it, nurture it, give it the proper nutrients, create that container for it, and it's just going to do it organically and naturally. There's no forcing the rose petals open. There's no forcing on that. It's just pure allowance. And so if you're in this transition point, right, in this in-between, can you just nurture and water your own garden and allow the blossoming to occur organically? That is the question. That is the question. Which we all can, right? But I find that when we have been trying to force things for quite a period of time to get to that next level, we're just met with more resistance. And that seems to be the energetics that are occurring when we're living in new quantum law and new divine law. The same way of operations just doesn't work, and so we have to learn, how do we operate and navigate in this new energy, right? What is my template calling forward? What is my soul blueprint calling forward? How do I handle these situations? And sometimes it's just being. Sometimes it is doing. It's really dependent upon your trajectory, your timeline, your pathway, your reality stream, and what your navigation point is. What's your compass? What is your compass? It's that point of internal reflection, of knowing what are the appropriate steps to take so we don't keep getting that universal 2x4 or that smack upside the head or that reality collapse. It's okay to be formless as you're coming into form. It's a process of alchemy, right? It's being the prima materia. It's being nothing but the ether, the liquid light, as you're kind of bending, molding, pulsating with the energetics, and you're coming into a new form, a new level of source consciousness, a new aspect, a new whatever we want to put on it, new framework. And in that formless energy, that's where we can start to feel lost, right? Because we're nothing. But as a result, when we're formless, we can also shapeshift, right? I found that occurring a lot in my own life too, is as I'm formless, it's like I'm trying to grab onto some form, and as a result, connecting with certain people will create a form of me, which is actually taking me out of my own experience of becoming this new form, whatever it might be. Don't allow yourself to be molded by others or by society. Don't allow yourself to be molded by television, molded by others' perceptions or others' judgments or others' belief systems or others' opinions, right? How can you come into your next level of form and express that through you? Which is just soul, it's just light, right? But it's a focal point of creation, of honoring the purity of our creation and not becoming anyone else's creation. That is the Age of Aquarius. There's so much that's been coming through with the Aquarian energy. But it's really, how can we be in our own form, in our own expression, and how can we share that with the world in its true light, in its true form? And then, of course, transformation, right? We don't attach to the form again, because we know there might be, most likely will be, another dissolve, another death, and another rebirth. It's the cycles of creation and deconstruction that occur. So we don't attach, we don't hold on. We allow, but we allow the transformation to take place however it is. So, and I've been seeing it a lot more. I've been seeing a lot more caterpillars showing up in my reality, and I know, okay, we're about to go in the chrysalis. Yesterday I did see a butterfly, which gave me a good sign. But I do know that there's so many different stages of transformation and growth that are occurring right now in the collective, that for some of us, we're still in that kind of, I don't know what's to come. Can we be okay in the unknown, right? Can we feel safe and comfortable in knowing that we're supported and we're being guided? And sometimes our support and guidance means don't do anything, just be. We can neither receive nor transmit, we just be. Can we be okay in that place? Right? You know, it's an interesting part of our society that we have to do or show up in some way for the validation point or for us to be able to receive. And this period of this passageway has been just do nothing, right? And as a result, I still show up in my highest light. And I still connect. When I see people, I still show up as the light. But the ways that I like to show up sometimes can't occur. We have to be okay through that and know that there's still self-worth in the transformation and working at a quantum level versus showing up linearly or showing up where it could be validated, such as on a screen. It's a new way of showing up. And it's truly beautiful. But it can feel uncomfortable a little bit at the human level, and we can feel lost through that as well. Once again, identity crisis, which is normal. I've also even found that through this, there's been an identity crisis of what it is to be in the feminine levels of my embodiment in a male form. That created its own identity crisis, which I'm still working through as I weave in and out. It's a big part of soul union. It's a big part of the divine union that's occurring. Divine union, okay? The big divine unions that are occurring. So yes, it might manifest in an actual physical relationship or a physical partnership in this reality. But for many of us, it's union with new multidimensional aspects. Union with the masters, right? Union with the gods, union with the goddesses. It doesn't always mean that that union takes place where it's tangibly held here in the form and we meet our divine partner and then it's happily ever after. This union can be with Gaia. This union can be with the all. And when we begin to connect with those multidimensional aspects, whether it be in dream time or actually felt that you're embodying a new aspect, that union is going to call forward an experience to clear out the form of you, of everything that isn't that, or those lifetimes, or the karma, or whatever we want to call it, the distortions, the belief systems that have been blocking that aspect from showing up forward and through as source light here and now. The blossoming energy of spring is really ripe and it's here. I'm looking at a hummingbird right now. And we're all ready to take flight. But for some of us, it's just not time yet. And we have to be okay in those in-between cycles, the void, right? Learning to get comfortable in the void and using those moments to rebuild our self-worth and our self-value and our self-love. So then when our cup is entirely full and the light is back on, we can show up as that. And we can get back to what we need to do here on Earth as a guardian, as an angel, as a starseed, as a galactic, as a master, as source consciousness, here and now. So it's important for us to open our cup up and to call in the waters of the divine and to fill up with that, right? And to live that simple life. From the people that I know, there's a roadrunner, 2 roadrunners. See, the animals are coming around. It's so beautiful. Part of the unification. For those that I know that have been embodying New Earth for a while, the number one common thing I hear them always say is it's really about simplicity. And that's why we're opening up the simple realms, is because there's this beautiful creation point in simplicity and this beauty and magnificence of the art of simplicity that comes forward and through. Our lives get easier, right? Our lives get easier. And you know, even with these roadrunners showing up right now, I have to say this because this medicine is coming forward and through. We have to stop running from who we are. The simple realms, the simplicity, invites us to have this opportunity to just stop everything and just to be with all of us. Be with the feeling, be with the energy, be with the love, be with whatever is coming forward and through for us at this time. So we can either embrace it or we can let it go. Right? It's the release of resistance. And the Roadrunner energy also wants us to know, as I'm pulling it forward and through, that this is a time of acceleration. And when we're ready to go, we will be ready to go. And everything that we have inside of ourselves, all the tools, all the gifts, all the knowledge, all the wisdom embodied, will be available to us when we need it the most. But we really do have to stop running from who we are, right? And it's funny because identity crisis came up, free of identity. But it's also asking us to step into that place, right? Step into that center point, recognition of who you are. And where you're at right now. So it might be, especially with everything coming up to the surface right now, of a lot of distorted aspects coming through. Can you embrace those pieces of you and ascend them, right? Can you embrace them and keep filling them up with light so they can ascend with us? It's an important part of integration and not denying who we are. But we can accept it and let the story go. We can accept it and we can let this piece of us, part of us, be important and be loved here and now. Right? It's really important for those star systems aspects that might have done some unloving things or been unloving things at a period of time to ascend and to be love again and to be light. And they always were that. But at some level and some degree we forgot. And that's okay. So I just wanted to come on and make this message because it felt relevant. Felt relevant to show up and to speak out forward and through what's been occurring for myself and how that might be showing up in your own reality. Whether micro, macro, whether it's prevalent or it's very subtle. And to just let you know you're not alone, right? You're not alone. You're never alone. So breathe into this space. If you want to join me in just breathing into this space of divine perfection, immaculate conception. In reverence for all. Just be with the still point, be with the center point, be with all of you. And soften. Come back to the heart, to self-love. And to allow your soul expression to come forward and through for you. Niku ai varshane sidu. Tu kai enda nehate nurdaje kai sanipu. Mai I sezai I kusanashe. I dale hikai e dahano mai. Erda shegayamate. Auze de nasa e tutarakayala. Nardekiaye. We're ready to bring forward the next level for ourselves. But we also have to be open up enough to be able to receive that. So just stay expanded, stay beautiful, stay soft, stay loving, and keep taking your power back. It's necessary right now. Rekia. All right. And with that, I'll see you guys soon.